Hey, what's up? It's your boy Bobby Sapphire. It's another episode of the KTOD radio podcast. We're talking about Star Wars Unlimited, and as always, I have my hetero life mates. Starting with Justin Desai. What's up, H2O?
What's up, man? Even more to talk about today.
We hung out all day yesterday at a local, me, Justin, Steve, but one person who wasn't there, Marty Gem. What's up, Maddie?
Marty the party. What up, boys? Sorry to miss it. Sounds like you had a good time, and Mike stole my crown for the local tournament scene, so I'm getting hungry to get that back.
Gotta just bank that $45 credit a pop.
Mm-hmm.
And also hung out yesterday all day with Steve. Steve,
What up,
you're in
what up?
Chewy.
Yes, truly. I was definitely the numpty of the tournament yesterday, man. I think I went like 1-2 drop. I could not get anything going with that deck.
It's really a slog. When I saw that you had to play Han in round 2, like that's the one match that's just like, oh my god, it's gonna take an hour. I honestly can't believe that you finished it in time, just because like one game of that can play an hour. Kind of like that
that was
warm
the
up
only
game.
game I won, bro.
Like we did a Palp versus Chewy match, and like one of them went pretty quick, but the second one was just like 20,
That was a
like
slog.
25
Yeah.
rounds or something. But the event was fun, always fun to hang. Justin, what was your impression? Your first constructed tournament, IRL.
Well, round one had to play you,
Oh
which
yeah,
was
that's true.
rough. We had a really good match, though.
Yeah, it
That
was
was
tight.
live to win, top deck mode for a bunch, but you gained 45 life, so it's hard for Sabine to do 65.
Yeah, so you played Sabine, Justin, Mike played Churrit, and then Steve Chewy. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep. But it was fun. It was fun to play. It was fun to shuffle. I think, get out to your local game stores and play because we all play a bunch online. Maddie probably the top dog there. But you play online, you kind of get in like a drone mode of sometimes just like clicking through and playing like 5 matches. But when you play a real tournament, even though it's low stakes, you get the little adrenaline rush and you
Yeah,
kind of feel it a
that's
little bit more and
the
flows through your veins, the game, and you kind of learn about your own deck a little bit more than you would sometimes playing in other avenues. So it was good. It was a good
yeah.
day.
The decisions matter more. You're not necessarily in let me figure this out mode because there's even something, just even if it's small, there's something on the line. And also we had a bunch. We had you guys drive in.
Right.
It would have been a tough local otherwise because it was like all people who drove over an hour to come. And Gene had said no one even showed up last Saturday, so like it's tough.
Oh man.
There's no
Yeah,
packs,
we
so
definitely
people want to like crack a couple packs, play a couple games.
Yeah, I think the no packs
Right.
thing is I know, like, not to go on a tangent, but I think the no packs thing is kind of hurting some local scenes. Like I had somebody reach out who plays in New York and was saying how like love the game, want to play it more, but the local scene is struggling because there's no product. So I really am excited to see how it will take off once there's more
hmm
product out there and with set 2, and hopefully that there's not a shortage.
And not like when the game first dropped and it seemed like they had tons and tons of product and this shortage wasn't going to happen. Everyone in the community, like all the other content creators, not all, but like definitely some content creators who went through the product shortages with other FFG games were like really applauding them. And now we're seeing like this isn't being handled super well, and it's not necessarily FFG, it's the distributor Asmodee, like is who held the allocation and is the one that's like
Mhm.
giving every store 3 boxes. But like I don't know, it's not good because the game was like popping off, and like let's be clear, in Massachusetts games do not fire. Like the fact that we even have each other is like massive because otherwise we wouldn't have anywhere to play. And there are parts of the country where people are getting 50 for their locals, so that's amazing. I just don't
Yeah.
know how much that holds up without product. And I know like in the places where it's smaller, specifically the Northeast, it can be a real struggle to get people in there. And one of the reasons,
true.
one of the after effects of the product shortage are crazy prices. So we did a guess the legendary
What?
price contest,
Yeah, things got jumping.
and we could see here the two top, out of us, the 4 of us,
Wait.
our side bet, the top 4.
Yep. Maddie,
Maddie
Marty,
wins by $1
by
and
a dollar.
16 cents.
What?
Crazy.
I thought I was
What?
screwed
I'm-
when all the prices jumped up.
I think I'm
Whoa.
calling BS. You didn't pull the right date on times.
I did. So what is
Or-
crazy
yeah,
is
Oh, the recount's happening.
Devastator.
This was done on
No way.
April 8th at midnight. I did it at like 11:55 or whatever. But later that night, or maybe even the next day, the vigilance has jumped to $25. And if I had just done it a day late,
I was screwed.
Yeah, you would have lost.
Well, that's why I held back my vigilance video. You know, I knew that that was going to be the one, because after I dropped my vigilance video, it went up to the moon.
Legitimate, this doubled in price.
So if any if any people who run card websites are looking for a partnership, hit us up, because I can just drop that video in that. No, I'm just kidding. But holy shit,
voice of the people.
Well, it definitely also helped that
I am the law.
Tada won that event with the deck.
Yeah,
right.
Good job, Tada.
Then you get to make a video about it, and then you get to win 24 packs from the three of us.
Yeah,
probably be set 2 packs at this point.
Right.
Set 1 packs exist anymore.
Yeah, right.
Devastator.
And we don't want to contribute to shortage, so we'll just roll this over to set 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll chip in and buy you a box for set 2.
Those
Thanks,
7 packs we cracked yesterday to Winston, Mike, definitely lost its value.
Yeah, you know what? Those were great. Yeah, me and Steve Winston, we did 7 packs instead of 6 because we thought like 6 was a little tough. We released a Winston video this week, and someone in the comments said like, you should try a 7th pack. So we did, and it was great. I thought like it worked pretty well. The fact that like I switched regularly between hero and villain and still had a playable deck. Oh, actually, a winning deck was what's up. But yeah, no legendary, so you definitely lost money. I didn't open my OP pack last night because those things are worth like $25. So
wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I've been just firing
these
things off.
Yeah, I almost.
I want to buy one. Send it my way.
I got 3 last week at the draft at TE, and I was like, I shouldn't open these, and then I did, and now I wish that I didn't. But I still need one more Hyper R2, so. Yeah, I really need one.
I get hoarding them because they're worth a lot. I just remember like being a kid and going to Friday Night Magic, and there were like these special cards you could only get, and like they were dope. And so, you know what? I'm gonna live my best life. I'm gonna open all those OP packs, and I got all my new packs coming in, so I'm flush, baby.
You do you. I'm not even necessarily thinking about selling them, but like as we saw, like I don't know, I need stuff to give away that aren't in my collection, for giveaways and stuff.
True.
So like, feel free to make other people feel that way by doing giveaways.
Oh yeah, you know what? We should save them and give them away to the patrons. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
All right,
so I'm gonna do that
now.
Wait, can I just look real quick? So I'm doing some scouting for a future video on what cards I think will go to the moon. Okay, there's some good ones in here that I think are gonna go.
And I would check even more updated prices because this is actually these locked on 4/8.
Oh right, yeah. Okay.
But so our boy Nick Charette won the contest. He didn't beat either of you guys, but he did come in with the the third lowest total with $134.
Cool.
So I gave him his prizes yesterday because he was at the local. I told him not to tell anyone, not that like anyone really cares, but I just congratulated him. He had some higher prices, and some he had, if you notice, like he had this one dead on, which was cool. The Falcon, he pegged right at 27.
That's perfect.
So cool. All right.
Good job,
congrats
Nick.
to Nick. He won a ton of tokens, some custom tokens that I had custom made during my Destiny days that would work for this game eventually, or they already have Sabine, and when they have an Ezra leader. And thanks again to Laser Gaming on Etsy. You should check them out. I'll link them in the show notes. But they sent me like a ton of tokens when the game dropped, and we used them for a bunch of videos, and I wanted to pay it forward with some of the tokens. I know Nick specifically, so I switched a bunch of tokens out because he makes his own tokens. So I wanted to give him stuff that he didn't have, which is why I ended up giving him my Laser Gaming modifier set. So that's what he.
How many people? How many was this out of how many people?
I think it was somewhere in the 28 range. I didn't specifically count.
It's crazy that Maddie and Steve were beat everybody.
Yeah,
because we're on the other end. Yeah,
that's just impressive. I mean, it's impressive stuff.
Yeah, no, it was nice.
I would have expected Steve and Mike.
I was expecting.
Obviously, you above me, Justin. I am shocked.
I came in last.
I am too.
All right, Matt. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah, you said that to me when I lost my
Oh,
virginity.
Steve
so,
said that
you know.
before? Sorry, that's the 18,000th time I've heard Steve say that in my life.
Yeah, it's his favorite line of
Oh,
all time.
football now, baby.
Better lucky than good.
All right. I had one more thing I would hit. Oh, and like to be fair, so if someone found one that they did better or whatever, like people sent it to me in crazy ways too. So like, I had to print one out. I had to like type one in that someone snail mailed me. Like these things were just like like there was a note in my locker with one of these. There's so many different ways people sent it to me, not
Did
the way I
someone
asked.
really
So
send it to you through the post office?
no, but like they sent like DM me on Facebook, they DM me on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like I might have missed one, is all I'm saying. But I got all the
You
ones
found
that
it.
were sent officially.
Well,
You
you know,
found
you
it
got
in your
to
mailbox without a stamp, like they found your address.
They dropped it off.
If we do this again, yeah,
Message in a bottle on the beach.
we'll make a PO box.
One
So
shows up at Crestland Drive.
Good thing we don't live there anymore.
so
Yeah.
this is some of just the high prices if we want to talk about them for a second. But like Vader is up like between 85 and 95 now. I've heard of Vader's going for over 100. All the blue control stuff is completely spiked. The super laser blasts, the Vigis, the Avengers are all super high.
I'm gonna go with a hot take here. Swerve off it. Wait, I don't think that you need to be paying $25 for a super laser blast or $27 for a vigilance. Go play something else for a little while. These are getting a little out of hand.
Yeah,
I'm with you there,
And that's
man.
coming from the guy who plays all these cards.
borrow.
Also, like Mike and I were talking yesterday. I opened over 10 cases, and I still
10
only
bucks.
have like
$10.
2 Akbars, 1 Bale. Like the fact that I'm
It
borrowing
is
cards,
crazy.
I think
borrowing rares to play a deck after I've opened 10 cases. I mean, I thought I was
Boxes.
splurging, and now I feel
10
like-
boxes, 10 boxes.
Yeah, 10 boxes, 10 boxes. That's right. My bad.
Yeah,
But
I
it
opened
is
five
like
and a
that,
half,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm begging people. Like I'm pretty limited. Like I don't feel like I really have a dent of. At first, I felt good, but then like I didn't hit the blue cards.
Yeah, I think it's because of this like print run issue,
yeah,
right?
the print
It
run's
has-
bad, and then like the legend. So the print run is bad, and the legendaries are, a little bit more of a premium with the shortage that the legendary. A lot of the legendaries are just spiking, and because there's people have so few of, like, people bought 3 boxes and didn't get any vigilance, which is
Yeah.
crazy. You wouldn't get that in any other game, I don't think. So
Another
If
reason
I
to
had
go to your
only
local
done 3
card shop.
boxes, I would have been.
yeah,
I
actually,
wouldn't have a debt.
our card shop
Get some trades going.
bought some collections because I was looking through their binders yesterday, and they had Super Laser Blast, they had Vigilance.
Oh man, because 2 weeks ago I went in, they had like commons and uncommons.
They had bought someone's collection because there was a legit binder, like a new binder,
Cool.
and it was like, yeah, it was filled out.
Oh, that's good.
Get out there and trade.
The only problem with
Yeah.
some of these stores, and I'm sure people have good stores, but like our store, which is great, they charge, so they go by the whatever the last sale on TCG Player is, and then they add the shipping. I was like, well, why
Yeah.
would I buy
What?
why would I buy it from you? I would just, like, if you're gonna, I don't know, whatever. It's like just
Yeah,
adding
I
a dollar
get
for no
that,
reason.
like-
And when I was gonna trade in yesterday, and I was gonna ask them to add the shipping.
Oh,
you
yeah,
should
I
have.
know. Yeah.
Why not? Why didn't we do it?
I ended up selling to people who
yeah.
wanted them at like much cheaper prices. So
Yeah, it is like that middle ground of like support the store, but also they have to like, they got to meet you in the middle a little bit. That's a little kooky
Yeah,
dooky.
little
But
bit.
anyway,
I want them to
met
make
in the
money, but
middle.
they
still a
should.
great story. Yeah.
Mike
Yes, it is.
convinced him to do best of 3, and that's why he won the tournament. He got there early.
True.
The first thing he said to him, "Can we do best
Well,
of 3?"
best of 3 is way more fun, but it is longer with some of the new players, right?
I won all my game ones, so
Did you? That's fair.
we'll just stop. We'll just
There you
stop it there. All right, so we got some results to talk about. Actually, we have ones from this weekend, but obviously we should take a minute at some point. Actually, this is why I put this here. So there was a Kentucky 1K, and it had 32 people, and only 3 people were on Boba Green, and that's kind of what let 4 Hanless be in the top 4. And we get this from in our Discord. One of our Patreon subs said that he went 5-0, 10-0 with Iden Greens. Almost Maddie's exact list before the top cut, and then he lost to Green Han in the top 8. And the top 4 was 2 Han, including a blue Han, and 2 Boba Fett. So I guess the reason why I made this slide is like, what do you think about 32 people, only 3 Boba? Obviously a very small sample size, but is it indicative of the card shortage? Is it indicative of people like not wanting to play Boba? What do you think? Because as someone flying to a 1K this weekend, I would like to know what the meta is going to be.
I think it's got to be card shortage. I mean, this like right now the game is so localized, and like we said, Steve opened 10 boxes and didn't get certain cards. You know what I mean? I think it's a little bit of card shortage, and I think it's a little bit of like maybe people skipping steps in the meta. Although, I mean, Han, yeah, I think
So they
that's
all
it.
opened
But I like,
the home one boxes, but not the Vader boxes, the Vader Boba
yeah,
boxes.
I guess
Mike,
Vader's expensive right now.
did you say 2 out of the 3 Bobas made top 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I think that's the more impressive stat.
Well, if
That
the
even though that not a lot of people played Boba,
Mhm.
like the percentage that did actually did top 8.
yeah, well, if the meta's all Han, like that's a feast for Boba.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, yeah, what was it, Pixels? Shout out, dude. Good
Yeah.
job on that
And
event. Like
I just
that's the cool thing to see, like seeing people from our community take our decks or just the discussions we have and going
And
out
do
and
well.
doing well. Like that's what really this is all about. And
Yep, so I
that's
shagged the
awesome to see.
2 Hans from the top 4. One was a Han blue and one was a Han green.
Whoa,
The Han green,
cool.
interesting inclusion of Homestead Militia,
I
Crafty
like that
Smuggler.
card.
Yeah, Homestead Militia's okay. Like it's totally fine. It 3 is pretty jammed up. I don't know about 0 Akbar in a list like this, but I get it.
That
I would
blue
probably
Han,
at least have one and then maybe another one in the board. But yeah, the Blue Han is spicy. It got a
Spicy.
little cut off at the top, but we get it.
The droids.
The droids and the lightsabers, so like not worried about traitorous. I guess just suiting up his low guys and then just kind of playing a yellow curvy deck. I'm not really sure. He's only got a couple of yellow cards in there at all, like 3 Ezra, 3 Falcon, 2 Waylay. That's it. And then Sparks and Change of Hearts on the board, which is nice. So interesting. Yeah, just interesting in general. Like if you want to suit up droids, I think there are probably better ways to do it. But
Well,
Han's good.
I think what the top one's doing, which I think is really neat. If you remember the Chirrut Blue deck tech I did with putting the whole concept of that was you put a big booty thing out, and that's why the droids were in that. Also, regional governor. But if you can do that with Han, you get Yoda and Ezra additionally to the droids. So you've got 12 real amazing targets for the Jedi lightsaber, and also for wing lead. Well, 9 for wing leader, and so it's sort of that concept where you're able to play these really big cards early, and then probably puts a shield, like a shield on Ezra. Obviously, Waylay's going to be a problem in different things, but
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
With yellow, you like the big booty's nice, but you also could have done like what the guy, what Hunter Burdett did, which is like play Crafty Smuggler, who comes with a shield. And I know his
Yeah.
booty's not as big, but the shield, combined with Jedi lightsaber
like a
makes
booty.
him better. Yeah, and he's not wing leaderable, obviously, but I don't know. I think there's some. I liked your deck, and I would,
Yeah, I
and
know.
like you could play Vigilance and stuff. Like the mono blue has some interesting legs. I just like. If I wanted to add a color, I'm not sure Ezra, Falcon, Waylay are the reason. I guess he's got Han too, and he ramps. Look, I'm not crapping on the deck. It's good. It's just like not what I expected.
Yeah, how do we take it to the next level?
Yeah.
Or like where does this capped
And
out
I
at?
love You're My Only Hope, and he's got the top
That's
of the
cool.
deck all for that. So he's doing a
Yeah.
little casino move there.
I think this is sort of the reasoning behind why Boba's not played as much, is that people want to be creative too. I think there's the price point. You guys
Yeah.
were talking about availability, but like there's a sort of creative nature. If you do well, like we don't have the Boba lists up on the screen. We're not chatting about them. So like there's that concept of, okay, it's one case, but if you get to innovate a little bit, and with Han is like a really creative platform, Chirrut's becoming that, Chewie, like you're, and then you get to have those conversations like, I crush Boba. In reality, you probably are best if you're actually just looking to win the tournament, like best suited to play Boba Green. But you get to sort of have those creative things. You look at the bottom one has the trooper, like the XX trooper in the bottom, and like
Mhm.
it's got quick
Oh, yeah,
reflexes. Like
97
there's a lot
cleats.
of
Yeah.
action going on there. You
Wild
get to be like, well,
sideboard.
this does this,
Yeah.
and this is what this does. And I think that's sort of what, I like Maddie has a ton of pride with like the Iden deck, right? It's like creative impact. And it's like, what's the next creative impact place to go?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be Boba. So I think that's why you're not always seeing Boba. I'll be interested to see like what happens at 5Ks.
Yeah.
Like, does
Yeah.
Boba spike? Because if you remember that European event, like it was all Boba at the top, and like and a lot of those guys were saying like they were borrowing and figuring out ways to get Bobas and Vaders and stuff. And it didn't strike me that there was like a ton of product being opened earlier. People were figuring out ways to get cards, like borrowing from friends and stuff. So I think if people are traveling and like maybe going to Richmond or Florida, or if there's a local scene that maybe does like, with the price spike, like a 2-case tournament or something like that, like what would we see in that meta?
Also, it's Star Wars. People play the characters they like invariably.
That's-
Like it's
yeah,
just gonna happen.
exactly.
And like how do you not like Han Solo?
It's also why I won 1 and 3 yesterday.
Because you like Chewie,
Right.
yeah.
He likes Chewie.
Take pride in yourself. You went 1-2 drop.
Part of our
Also,
brand.
that is probably the sweatiest local ever with the names that were at that thing.
All right, so this is I think this was a Winnabox in the UK. Stealth Moose sent this. This was a top 8 with 3 Bobas, a Palp. I think it was a red Palp. It's on the next slide. Chewie, Sabine, Iden, and Leia. This was the Boba that took it down. Pretty standard,
Stock standard,
all things
yeah.
considered. Doesn't have any spice.
To my point, next slide.
Yeah, I guess like the main deck reinforcement walkers is the spice.
Yeah.
That was won by the London guy like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
2 walkers.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense into like a big control meta. I thought there were some interesting things that went on. Like that top 8 is more indicative of what I think like a meta tournament would look like. Happy to see another Iden do well.
This was a
Even
red
if it fell
Palp
short.
that uses the Force package with like Fifth Brother, Seventh Sister, Darth Vader, Palpatine, and Force throws and Fallen Lightsaber. That came in second, which is like pretty interesting.
Yeah, I want to love that Force user package, and I know they have Ozzel to like try to turn that on, but like sometimes you drop a 7 sister on 5 resources, and you're just like, yeah. Now you just get to have your way with me. So, very cool. I'd like to see how it plays, but that's kind of my hesitancy with like the Force heavy cards, like Fifth Brother just gets ECL'd and like doesn't trade back because he's got 2 power, and you just feel bad. Like, man, I really want to love those cards, and the only time I've seen them kind of succeed is in Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But cool deck.
Yeah, tough to fit everything. Only 2 Ruthless Raider kind of makes me sad, but it's tough. It's just tough to fit everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ruthless Raider's insane.
Yeah, 2 Traitorous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just another. And then this was the red Iden that also did well at that event. Doesn't. Oh, the I Am Your Father, right? That's why we threw it in there. This showed up.
Yeah. So like.
This showed up in
some
another
spicy tech.
list too, right? The Blue Vader deck that did well
So-
in Orlando. I want to say.
I think it was Atlanta.
Oh, it was at SCG Atlanta.
Yeah.
They
Space
had I'm
Invaders.
Your Father too.
Yeah, they might have had 3 in that one.
So
I think they did.
if I'm gonna play I Am Your Father, which I'm probably not ever gonna play, I would play it in red event Iden because, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, like you have so much cheap removal, like entrenched and stuff like that you can draw the 3 and then just spike the next card, and you're kind of playing this stall game, so you're a little more okay with getting the worst result. But like if I'm ever in a position where I need a card to do the thing I want it to do, then why would I ever play I'm Your Father? And I think as people get better at the game, like you're at locals, they don't necessarily know what to do all the time, which is fine. It's a new game. Like at a high level tournament, I don't think this thing is ever getting it there for you, other than it's like,
I'm just thinking about, I played some games with a friend the other day, and he played I'm Your Father on me twice, and both times I just let him kill my guy, and he was like, oh, I didn't think that's what you're going to do. And I was like, is that because you wanted me to do the other thing? Because like,
Right.
I'm always going to do the thing that you don't want me to do.
Yeah.
He wanted to draw cards.
I went to draw 3. It's like, yes, obviously in
Like
this situation,
targeted
draw
your
3 with
worst
the bomb.
card.
So but this just gave me an idea because I've been behind the scenes working on a mono blue Iden. And I'm like thinking,
Ooh.
is I'm Your Father good there? Because on 7, I could draw 3 and then pull a vigilance and play that vigilance. That seems
Yeah.
great.
If they do what you want.
Oh no, their guy took 7. I'll just draw the
Yeah.
vigilance next turn.
My 2/2. You
Or in
sure
2
you don't want
turns.
to keep that 2/2 alive, buddy?
Is
Mono blue
Tarkentown
is
versus a
spicy.
30-point? Like, is that a thing that people talk about? I thought it was usually 30 points.
Oh,
You did.
yeah. For Iden event, I don't want to sound like this, but I can't imagine wanting Tarkentown just because, like, the whole point of the deck is to make your life total effectively like 40 with the healing, so
Yeah.
you need that wiggle room because the aggro matchup is pretty tough. That's a good point, Justin.
And he doesn't have a lot of ways to do incremental, like just a tiny bit of damage. It's really just Death Trooper. And he doesn't
And
have a
it's
lot of
so
units that are just
slow.
like putting damage on and then finishing off with Tarkentown. So, yeah. I also sometimes these are just put in by the organizer or something, and it could be wrong. So,
I Am Your Father's in the sideboard.
yep, he has more here.
Yeah.
Just wants to draw 9. Also restock in the sideboard.
Yeah,
Spicy.
I started playing 1 in my main deck and 1 Search Your Feelings in my event Iden main deck, and maybe I'll do a video at some point about it, although
That's smart.
we'll see. But yeah.
Needs more mission briefing, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
here is the SCG Con top 8. They all split the top 8. They did not play the top 8. And we got shout out to Mephisto, who is the Boba Green in that
Discord
guy I've known for a
Patreon
long
boy.
time. Yep, he's in our
Nice.
Patreon Discord and like known him for a long time through Destiny. Good player from down there. So he top 4s, and I guess I grabbed this palette because it was one of the more interesting ones with all the one-ofs. But a pretty well-rounded top 8. Sabine green, Sabine yellow, Boba green, Boba yellow, Iden green, Krennic green, this blue palette.
This blue palp's got some spice.
Oh, and
I
the
like
Blue
that a
Vader,
lot.
the aforementioned Blue Vader deck. Yeah, I mean, when you're just playing a little bit of everything, that is the definition of spice, right? Like, it's just all spice.
I was very impressed with your palp in our games yesterday, and just like how we talked a little bit, like I was playing around cards that you weren't even playing because I didn't actually know your list, and I think there's a huge advantage of that right now.
So that's the big question, like especially for Florida, like we can't get a straight answer on if it's open deck list or not. When they had the event that was it the Lolly one or like Lolly, right? Lolly won it or the top
He
4.
didn't.
But like we were watching
Yeah,
the stream and they were sharing deck lists before every match, like so you know
Yeah,
exactly what to face.
good
And like
point.
when you know that, like it behooves you to like have certain things in your board or have certain things in the main deck that will influence sideboarding. Like playing this deck with 1 Traitorous. Now the opponent has to think about, do they bring in their Confiscates or their
Yep.
Fang Fighters or something. So like that's such a weapon, and it goes both ways, Steve. Like you said, either you don't know what I have, and it could be anything, and in a list like this is so spread out that like it literally could be anything.
Yeah,
But if it's
like
open
you
deck
see this
lists,
list beforehand, you're gonna have to play around Super Laser Blast, even if there's only 1.
exactly.
Yep,
Right.
100%. That's a great point. Yeah, there's some cool things to like about this. I think that the palps that I've been leaning towards with blue palp are playing more low-cost units to either cycle them later in the game cheaply or just to fight your aggro matchup, which is obviously, palp's biggest hurdle. So I like the one of Vanguard Infantry. I think that's cool. The only card that and it's like interesting, right? Because your worst matchup is aggro, but like Star Viper to me feels like one of those cards I only want to be ECLing, and after that it feels super slow. So I'm curious how that played out for this palp player.
It's possible he's like just leaning into the slow. Like there's nothing he can do about being slow because he's palp. So like taking a turn to lay it, take initiative, and then sort of like keep initiative could be a gameplay strategy that he employs in those matchups.
Yeah, well, I see that. With no overwhelming barrage, I'm just curious how you ever catch back up.
He has overwhelming barrage.
Wait, am I blind?
It's
Oh,
under
yeah,
the
bottom
Star
left.
Viper.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah.
It was so far down the list. Okay, never mind. Strike that from the record. Court reporter.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's the way you have to do it. You just have to take 1 turn to put it down there, and then build off of it. But
Do you have
that's-
that one turn against Sabine? Because I feel like you don't.
It's quite possible that with this configuration, you do not. I don't really see how you could, but yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot of cool stuff though.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I like the spicy one of Vanguard. Might put that in mind.
I mean, it's a one cost that buffs another guy if you get it. It's totally fine,
Yeah.
right? It like makes all these 2 attack guys halfway decent.
Yeah.
And putting it like doing that to the Star Viper is probably like pretty
And then
insane.
use Overwhelming Barrage,
Right.
which is in the
Ooh.
deck list. Nice.
That could include.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're going to do some listener questions. If you want to be part of our Discord, we have 274 subscribers to our Patreon. That's in just 2 weeks. If you remember, if you listened to last episode, we launched it right before our last. And then there's like 20-ish special, including, well, we have us also. But the Discord is right around 300 people. So it's all people who are competitive, and we talk about Unlimited all day. Some of us stream Unlimited all day in the voice channel, so you can. We routinely have, 20, 25 people watching Unlimited being played at various hours of the day. Sometimes so we're on the Eastern time, so it's like sometimes it's work from home people, on lunch break people, and then in the evenings, usually every night, someone's on there streaming their games. So it's a good place to find good opponents. It's a good place to watch and talk about competitive content.
A lot of deck list questions and great place to sort of workshop your decks with. We'll always jump in, but very helpful community with some really great players. So
yeah, and
I think I got at all levels too. So it's really, really solid conversation.
Yeah.
And then we had the guy go 5-0 with Maddie's Iden in that event. Some other guy said he took down like maybe a win-a-box yesterday with Maddie's Iden.
John Tata
won the showcase tournament with the showcase Iden. Sorry, the showcase tournament with Maddie's Iden. So it's a good place to sort of like get a read on the meta and get games and ask questions. Even
right. If you like our deck
was
techs,
asking questions the other day.
If you like our deck techs, you can kind of get up close and personal with those deck techs. And I've done a lot of chatter about the Chariots, and Maddie, I'm sure, with the Idens, and Mike with Savines and different things. So it's a great place. Have you thought about this card? Oh, that's interesting. Let's try it out, and then we can jump right into a video call and start playing. So yeah, it's a lot of vibrancy in there.
And there's deck threads for any deck you want. You can make a deck thread. You can put like people come in, post their list. Hey, I just won my local with this. What do you think? How do I make it better? Should I take it to a 1K? What should I do? So it's just a good spot to hang out. But we also have a channel for questions, for podcast questions. So Maddie, do you have a couple questions that you can ask us from the channel?
Yes, I do. So we try to answer a lot of these questions right away, but we saved some for the pod because that's what it originally started as. And so this one, Mike's flying out to a 1K. You guys are all starting to go to like local tournaments. So this is from Pale. What kind of preparation do you do for all day tournaments / events? Be it, how you prepare that day, the night before, what kind of things you bring with you, and maybe like, support system type stuff. So I thought I'd throw it to you guys as like, big tournament prep tips.
Compression socks and water.
Ooh.
Steve swears by compression clothes.
Gotta be sharp on those later rounds.
Steve would watch me play Legion for like 4 hours a pop and be like, "You need some compression pants, bro."
Dude, it was painful. That game was painful.
So water definitely. I also usually carry around like a 20 ounce of Coke to take sips of during the day because like the thing that's really good for your brain is sugar. Water doesn't necessarily replenish the things that your brain feeds off of, so having some sugar in your body can be really helpful. I also rock my headphones in between rounds to sort of just like stay even. I often listen to like the same just one or two songs to like kind of reset my brain before every round. Has been a thing that I do at big tournaments. It kind of like, we do a lot of chatting and stuff, and I love to talk to people, but sometimes like if I'm really taking an event seriously, I want to just sort of like be by myself for a couple minutes before every round. So that's something else that I do.
I've found I've always had difficulty eating when I play larger tournaments and just kind of not eating, but forcing myself to drink a lot of water, get like Gatorade or something like that. and then grabbing something like an apple or some almonds or something like mid game. I think so. Echoing that component, it's hard for me to like eat a big breakfast and then play. I think if you're one thing, I think is just sort of a mental thing, and this is something that I've sort of learned the hard way over time, is don't play out your pathway if you start solid. So say you start 4-0, 5-0, 5-1. Don't sort of trajectory yourself and start
Mhm.
thinking about, oh, 8, I'm so close to 8-0. I'll do this in the next 4 hours if this happens. And even inside of games, I remember I was at Magic Pro Tour, and it was the last game, and I was on day one, and it was the best I'd ever done. It's the one that I cashed, and I was 5-2, winning a game 3 in the last round, and I was like, oh my god! I started thinking about like 6-2.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be 6-2, and just the guy drew fire, and then I lost. Like I was blue. I was in control against like a Golgari deck, and it slipped, and I was like 10-5, then 5-3, and I went to my next draft, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, play for some cash, but it wasn't. The
It's
dream had sort of gone. So, but I think if I had just stayed inside of that game, and that's really where you want to be. You want to be inside of your game. Like
yeah, you want to be locked in.
you want to play the game that's right here in front of you on the table, and the opponent that's in front of you, and everything else just put that in the peripherals. And that's like a pretty challenging thing to do, especially when you're doing really well.
Yeah, I agree. It's really
That's
tough
a
to do,
good
but it's
point.
super
Yeah.
huge to be able to just like you just have to focus on that game and nothing else. Like one punch at a time, one step at a time, sort of thing.
And just being aware that those we're humans, right? Those thoughts are going to crop up into your head, but knowing that they're not helpful, you're able to identify it quicker. And so, in the future, it's like the 6-2 thought pops in your head, you go, no time for that. And you like erase it right away. So just like being aware of the things that are going to crop up mentally or physically or whatever. And knowing that they're gonna pop in your head, but you know they're there and you can get rid of them is helpful. It's like arming yourself for those moments of like,
Right. Yeah, it's armament. It's
heavy
like
play.
meditation type
Yeah,
of energy that
On,
you need.
on the flip
exactly.
side of that too, one of the things I've always struggled with, especially at large tournaments, is if you get that bad matchup round one and you lose round one, not
Mm.
mentally putting yourself out of the tournament as well.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times you at these larger events, you can go X1, X2 and backdoor by
Yep.
having an
Mhm.
easier path
Take
by
take the
losing round one.
submarine. Take the submarine
Yeah.
back to the top.
That's like
There's so
my
many
calling
times
card.
I've
I'm like
lost.
the biggest submarine player of all time.
Yeah, but there's so many times when you lose that round one, it just feels defeated. And like
Yeah.
what Justin was saying, staying in the game and taking one game at a time when you're winning, it's just as equally as important when you're on the back end and
Yeah,
trying to
that's a
get
good
back in.
point too. Yeah.
100%. The only other thing I would add, because you guys all had great ones, is just like don't do anything too out of your normal day to day. You know what I mean? Like if like Mike knows for him getting his distance is important, but like say you reset by talking to people, then do that too. Like
Right, right,
knowing
right.
what works for you and being who you are, because like you're just trying to make it normal, right? As opposed to like overthinking everything.
Hmm.
All right. Second question, and this actually is, I think, another good one to ask after looking at the prices of all these cards. This is from our stand. This was like a couple days back, but I'm looking to make sure that I represent the three main pillars: aggro, mid, and control. But I don't have Vader units, and I really don't want to go ahead and drop a bajillion dollars for them. What decks would you play with that mindset, or to make sure you have kind of the three big archetypes covered, but maybe in the mindset
So
of like I don't want to buy Vader
Yeah,
or
it's
any
I
tough.
of
think
the
Like,
billion dollar.
yeah,
there's some solid control decks. It's going to be tough. I mean, Boba's clearly established as the best mid range with Vader. So that one you'd probably have to swerve and do something pretty different, like a Churret type of deck that's just a very different mid range.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get a mid range deck, but I think there's certainly I mean, budget's a little bit, you don't have Vaders, but like if you have Vigilance Avenger, we were talking earlier about the
Yeah.
blue-black control cards. Like if you have
Yeah.
those, I think you can make a
Brilliant.
very viable control deck. And obviously Sabine is relatively cheap on that.
Yeah, the Red Iden used to be really cheap, but it's not super cheap right now. But it used to be like just very few legendaries, or like they weren't that expensive. So control is certainly tougher, but you can definitely like build, a red blue control deck that it really just depends on how cheap you want to go, because you're gonna have to spend like some money on each. I think for mid range though, you could look at Han. Han doesn't have a lot of legendaries. Like you don't need 3 home 1. And that's really it for like a green Han. And then for
Falcon,
aggro,
maybe.
yeah, you could do Falcon. I mean, Falcon's obviously very good in Han, but like if you're going mid range,
You don't
it's
have
not
to,
necessarily.
At least it's cheaper than a Vader. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's fine to caveat
I think the
those
big thing
things.
is like that's a tough question to answer, but you should just build around the legendaries you do have, because like the legendaries are in every deck. So if you have 2 Lukes, like maybe you do want to go Chirrut, or maybe you want to go Blue Han. I just really, if you can build whatever deck you want, if you have the legendaries for it, and make it competitive.
And I don't think you need to build within those 3 pillars. I think those pillars sort of aren't quite as sort of locked in as, if you have 2 control decks and 1 aggro deck, like that's fine to play.
for
in
sure.
You could also just play like a Krennic that's like control-y, but
Right.
it's more unit based and can aggro, and almost becomes a mid-range deck in itself. So I agree. You don't necessarily have to adhere to those, but it is nice to have like a few decks built. I spent a lot of time the last couple days like putting my actual physical decks together, and it does feel sweet to have like 5 decks fully built.
I was gonna say, Chirrut's a good one too. Like Justin pointed out, it can be mid range. It can take a lot of different roles, which is cool. Until I saw the price of Vigilance, my answer was always either the red standard Iden or the event Iden. Are kind of fun ones, and then Sabine is cheap and really good.
Cool. That's all I had, unless you guys want to talk about anything else, or if you had any other questions for us, Matt. Oh, I guess like the last thing I was going to talk about was upcoming events, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
We honestly, and that's the other thing, like part of the Patreon, like we see those questions, we don't really even like to let them sit, because we want to be responsive.
And we
to
only
people.
record
so that
every
thread,
other week.
Yeah, so that thread just turned into like a kind of a Q&A, and just another way to like have access to us. But one thing I wanted to say about the community too is like all these people, like there are people winning the events because they're good players too. So like there are just so many more people in there that can help you out, even if we're at work or doing dad stuff or whatever. So it's just like a really good group, and I'm really
a bunch of
happy to
other
see how the
content
community-
creators like the guys from Unplayable are in there. Towers in there, Woo's in there. Probably some other ones that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head because it's 7:45 in the morning.
Yeah, it's a sweet group. I'm really happy with how it's turned out.
I'm going to the Florida 1K next Sunday. Justin, possibly going to a Win a Case on Friday. It's a Friday night event,
Yeah,
so it's a little
excited.
weird.
I'd say for the upcoming events,
We got our
if you
gear.
see the new swag, say hi to us if you see us with the cool new brand. I'm trying to build. We're gonna have some more stuff out there soon. But yeah, say what's up, and I'm excited to for a 6 p.m. start, Win a Case on Friday night.
Man,
I'll be
I
in
wish I
bed.
could go to that because that's my shit. Like going to an event that no one wants to be at. I had to play this one X-Wing event like outside in the sun, and then my opponent was like, it was like 98 degrees in July, and my opponent was like, I think I might pass out, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing a 2-turn. I just love stuff like that, like like pushing it and like not. Like just not backing down even in like insane situations, like playing X-Wing in a pizza shop.
When's your flight?
Saturday evening, so I'm getting down to. I'm a nut.
So do you love it? Is the question. If you want
Well,
to drive in Friday, all these big words.
Ask
do
me-
you love it?
Ask me. Yeah, well, I also love having a family and not living on Steve's couch. So, I'm flying out Saturday night. The event's on Sunday, and then I am flying
What
back
could be
5
better
a.m.
prep?
Monday.
What could be better prep for the 5K Florida that can go right to the kids' college fund than Win a Case, which could also go to the kids' college fund.
It's 1K, so I don't think it's doing any dent in college, but
I don't even think it's gonna dent your elementary school.
No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah,
literally, it's like, do I make my flight money back or not? But whatever. I get to go down and hang out with Reflex, and I get to play some games. So I'm excited to do it. All
Heck
right.
yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for us. So yeah, we've got some videos coming up this week. We should probably plan those. And yeah, you can catch
I got
us online.
ideas. We're good.
Cool.
All right.
All right, GG's.
Don't be a numpty. Sign up to be a Kashik operative. Win an event. I'm telling you right
Booyah.
now, it works.
Clip
All right.
that.
Clip it.